And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
Just before you say good night, actually.
Okay, so I'll leave that line for you from now henceforth. He seems to like just before you say good night. Okay.
There's some part of the world that this time or anytime we are alive, they're about to go to bed.
Yeah, so thanks so much for joining us. Good afternoon, everybody, from beautiful Airdrie, Alberta.
Yep.
This is Agape Anaki on this amazing Monday. We hope you guys are having a great day so far. And for those who have ended their Monday, how's the future looking?
Yes. Those of you in Oceania countries or Far East,
Yeah.
How is today's what? Today's
the for 15th.
15th. How is the 16th of April like?
Looking like? Yeah. Yes. So anyway, here we are again. We were here yesterday, and here we are again today talking about recognizing the value of small wins. I think a lot of us, me included, we're so used to waiting for those big moments.
Yeah.
Those big moments where we get the big checks, or we get the big promotion, or we get the
big house, big cars,
all of these things,
shoe.
right? Mm-hmm. Big shoe. Oh my God. All kinds of images are flying through my mind. Big shoe. Anyway, you know what, you get the point, right? So we're used to just celebrating those big things and forgetting that even recognizing the small wins can actually lead to bigger wins.
Yeah,
to be honest, because
it can actually uplift your spirit if you recognize it.
Yeah, regardless of how small a win is, regardless of how tiny the progress is, it is essential for maintaining your motivation and for staying focused on your long-term goals. Because when you write down your long-term goals and you start thinking, oh, okay, I've done 1, 2, 3 things, you're like, oh, I haven't done 5, 6, 7, 8. But if you take the time to actually recognize that you've done 1, 2, 3, it's like, oh, I've actually done half of the things that I wrote down that I'll do, right? And it just helps you maintain that drive to achieving your goals, right?
So how do you recognize small wins? Let's start from there. If you take a moment in the day to cultivate this habit of recognizing or writing down your gratitude, you will begin to see things on a different scale and on a different perspectives. So, for instance, I want to give one example. For instance, on weekends, our kids will say something like, "What are we doing today?" We'll be like, "I don't know. What do you have in mind?" And so one of them said, "Oh, let's go to the arcade and have dinner." I said, "Let's go."
Let's go. And I'm not that kind. I don't know. Like, now that I'm a little older, I'm in my mid-40s, I'm not as spontaneous as I used to be when I was younger, right? And so yesterday was like, I had to pat myself on the back and say, you did that, right? Because I'm not that spontaneous anymore. Like, oh, let's go to dinner. I'm like, I haven't planned that I'm going to go to dinner. In fact, when my daughter actually said we should go to the arcade, I had just put my makeup wipe remover to my face. I had just wiped one side of my face. And I was like, couldn't you have said that 2 minutes ago? But I just said to myself, and she said something. Do you remember what she said? She said something that melted my heart in a little way. She was like, you actually don't need that makeup to look good, or something funny like that. I was like, and I was like, okay. So I wiped my face, washed it off and everything, and then we dressed up and out we went. And they had a really good time, playing in the arcade, and we ordered food out and we ate there, right there. And it was really nice. And just overlooking because the arcade we went to also is within a golf course. So we're just there overlooking the golf course, had a nice dinner, and it was just really nice. And I was like, oh, you did that. You did something outside of your comfort zone.
That's a big thing, but it's a small
win. Exactly.
Something like that.
So some of the other things, or some of the other items that we feel like you could celebrate are completing tasks. A lot of us write down to-do lists, and we find that we move our to-do list from day to day to day and we don't do it. But if you move your to-do list to the next day, look at maybe 1 or 2 items that you were actually able to cross off from your to-do list. And the fact that you completed them goes a really long way. Like Aki and I have this thing that we do every month. We write down our goals for the month. We have a format we follow, like a document that we follow. So we write our goals for the month in all areas of our lives, right? We write it down. And when I say that, I don't mean that we do this humongous thing of goals and everything. It's a very simple 6-point task or whatever that we do follow, and then at the end of the month we come back to mark ourselves and see what score we get. And we've noticed that in the last couple of years that we've been doing this thing, even though we feel like we haven't accomplished a lot, every time we come back to that sheet to mark ourselves, it says we're extremely successful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we feel like we haven't done much. But the fact that we were able to do 1, 2, 3 out of the 7 or 8 things that we've listed, it says we're extremely successful. Because if you look at it, really, if we didn't do any of those things, we wouldn't have made any progress in that area. So the fact that you even moved from one point to the next is progress. So celebrate that and just let yourself know that, look, I did it. I did this, right?
And two keywords stands out for me in that example. Number 1 is the awareness.
Yes.
And number 2 is the definition that we attach to this task, or the definition we attach to, let's say, success, or the outcome of that thing you want to do. So let's go back to the awareness. If you are aware that, I want to do this, I want to do that, and you've not been able to do it, but the moment you are aware and you decide to do it, that's progress. And you actually started. That's progress.
Yeah.
Then the other one is the definition you give to how far you have gone.
Yeah.
It will give you, more peace. That book, that sheet that we mark ourselves, it says extremely successful. And I'm like, this is so simple. But when we sit back and think, I was very successful in starting to read 1 chapter a week.
Like, I mean, remember, like, even for me, I struggled so much over the last few years and Aki knows me that I love to read and everything. But I noticed that, I don't know, for some reason, for a long, long time, I just couldn't pick up a book and read. The moment I pick up a book, I'm falling asleep, right? But then when we started, like, this Lifesavers, part of it is reading. So you dedicate between 5 to 15 minutes to reading a book. So no matter what, we're not saying, read a book in a week. We're just saying dedicate every single day. If it's 5 minutes you can dedicate to reading, you'll read.
If it's 1 page.
And if it's 1 page, in fact, on the days where maybe I'm running late or something and I still want to do my Lifesavers, remember when we talked about Lifesavers some couple weeks ago, we mentioned that you could actually do it for 6 minutes. There's 6 items on the list of savers, right? So of the 6 items, you could give a minute to each of them and do it in 6 minutes. So imagine trying to read a book for 1 minute. But the fact that you read that page for that 1 minute, you've read that page. And then the next day, you're opening the next page and the next page. And one day you see that, oh my gosh, I finished this book, right? So I went from not reading a book in an entire year to reading at least 2 books or 3 books or 4 books in a whole year following when I started to practice the Lifesavers, right? And so that's what, what's it called? Celebrating your small wins is. And before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, I look back the entire 2023 and you say, I read 6 books. Me? From no books at all to reading 6 books in an entire year. Some people might say, oh, that's nothing. I read 6 books in a month. No problem. That's your own win. But for me, my win is that I read 6 books in a year, right? So other things are like, making improvements, receiving feedback. In fact, I will talk a little bit about receiving feedback, right? Like, nobody likes criticisms, right? Nobody likes to be corrected. Some people may like it, but not everybody is so comfortable with that. Everybody has their opinion. It's like, do I have to really explain or defend myself on why I did this thing the way I did it.
Even company wants 5-star in their
reviews, and they're like, "Oh, could you give us 5 stars for this?" And I'm like, do I feel like I received 5 stars in this service? But this is the thing with receiving feedback, right? Like, you just get to that point in your life where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to choose my battles. I don't have to defend myself all the time, or I don't have to explain why I did this thing. It may seem right to me, but if somebody is trying to correct me on something, or they're giving me feedback on something, perhaps it could help me improve. Perhaps it could help me become better. Maybe I should take a moment or two to even look into what they're trying to correct me about, right? And that for me is progress, in the fact that you're not that person who is quick to say, no, thank you, my way is the best way, or no, thank you, this is who I am, and I'm not, deviating or changing from this. But you've become this person who is able to say, it hurt that this person said this about me, but I'm gonna change, right? Like the other time, my daughter she likes to send me TikTok videos on different things that explain something she's trying to explain to me. So, she sent me one video, and the whole gist of the video is that, a teenager is trying to get the attention of her mom, and her mom is the entire time looking at her phone. And then she looks up and says, so what was it you just said? And I said to her, I don't do that, But then after I said that, I was like, maybe I should take a moment and ask myself, is she trying to tell me something? Like, is this something that she sees me doing? And how about I start to be aware of that when she comes, I actually put the phone away. Because sometimes I hold my phone in my hands, and in my head, I'm like, I'm listening to you. I'm looking at you. I'm listening to you. But they're so distracted or so engrossed with the fact that my phone is in my hand. So that tells them that I'm not fully there, or I'm wanting to hurry them up so I can get back to what I was doing on my phone, which is more important than the time I'm giving to them. So even in that area, I'm saying to myself, oh, okay, it's, like, you need to do better in this area. You need to actually show them that you are 100% there when they need your attention, right? Even though it may not always be the best time that they come to me, right? But I need to show them that I choose them first over everything else. Right? Yeah.
Especially when they come at very interesting hours.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We recently learned that I think it's a teenage thing. The older they get in their teenage years, it's like the entire day they want nothing to do with you, right? But the moment you say, okay, go to bed, everybody, it's lights out and everything, and Aki and I are like, phew,
that's their good morning.
Now we have the last hour of the day to just be quiet with ourselves, maybe watch a movie or something. That's when my daughter says, now I need your attention. Mm-hmm. Now I have this important thing I want to say to you. Now, it's like, really?
Things happen at the last minute.
So we've seen that it's common.
So I think overall, what we are trying to say or circle back is gratitude. Mm-hmm. And if you have a journal, start writing.
Yeah.
You begin to see little things. Mm-hmm. Like if you go for a walk or you do your exercise and you get back home safely.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's something to pat yourself on the back about and say, you know what, I did that.
Yeah.
Right? And just be grateful for the little steps that you're taking towards the life that you want. Oh my gosh, I looked at my exercise notebook and I saw that it's been 13 weeks that I have been consistently working out. And when I started back then, I could only do 10 minutes because for 2 years, I hadn't been working out. I could only do 10 minutes. And I kept saying to myself, am I going to be able to do more than 10 minutes? What is this? Because 10 minutes were a lot. It would be a lot on my body. But from 10 minutes, I realized that after my 10-minute workout by week 2, I was like, oh, okay. And then I moved to 15. And then I moved to 20. And one day I did a 45-minute workout and I was like, oh my goodness, I did that. But I looked at my my workout notebook and I said, this has been 7 weeks in the making. It didn't happen. Now, if I had been giving myself the excuse that, oh my God, I did this workout, I can't continue, I would not be where I am today. I would not be as strong as I am today. I'll not be as motivated as I am today. But because of the fact that I kept saying, oh, okay, 10 minutes, 10 minutes is better than no minute. 10 minutes is better than you sitting there and just complaining away that you're having all this pain in your body. I was saying to Akin the other day that I couldn't even imagine myself lifting weights. I couldn't, because I had a bad shoulder and all of these excuses that keep popping up every time I think of working
40
out.
40 plus excuses.
And I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm in my 40s and yada, 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 always, all kinds of excuses. But then I said, okay, I'm going to start, because there's this girl I follow on YouTube, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start with my 2.5 pound weights. So I started with those, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not bad. I did that for a week. The next week, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to pick up my 5 pound weights. And I picked them up, and the first 2 days was like, oh my Lord, I'm going to die here. But then what I noticed is that my shoulder is getting better. And I remember what my sports medicine doctor told me, I think a couple years ago. Because it is so weak, of course, you're going to feel pain. But then when you continue to work it out and do the exercises that I refuse to do on that particular area, it'll get stronger and the pain will reduce. And so I noticed that now, like, I sleep on that side and I don't feel any pain. I'm like, oh. Had I given in to the excuses that my body was shouting at me,
soft life,
right, I wouldn't be feeling this good today. So I was like, and that's what we said in the beginning, that no matter how small your win is, if you celebrate it or you focus on that small win, it is essential for maintaining your motivation and helping you stay focused on your bigger goal, right? And so that's what we wanted to share with you guys today. And that's what we want to leave you guys with, that no matter what it is, ask yourself, what is it today that I did that I could say to myself, I did that. I did that. Pat yourself on the back and celebrate it, right? So we hope that, that helps you guys in a little way. We'll be here again tomorrow.
And if you don't have a gratitude journal, try it.
Yeah, go buy a little notebook.
Or 3 things every day or every other day.
Yeah, and if you don't like to write like me, of course, open the note in your phone, your smartphone, and just type in what you're grateful for. Yeah. And you'll see over time, I remember starting with one notebook 4 years ago, and now I must have 20 notebooks of gratitude alone, because every single day we write in it. So
thank you for watching and listening.
Yes.
And let us know where you're tuning in from. Or tuning in from.
Exactly. Or watching the replay from. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take good care. Make sure you enjoy your day today. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.